Hello, my name is Teresina Jackson, and I am the self-published author behind the autobiography, The Code of Silence, Dirty Little Family Secrets, in which I tell my story. 1 in 4 Black girls will be sexually abused before the age of 18. The Code of Silence has left us sacrificing our mental and emotional well-being, let alone destroying generations of Black girls and women, primarily to protect their assailants, who are most often a family member and or a family friend. How many of us have that story to tell? And how did we get there? So I was thinking about, as a person who has grown up who grew up in a very um, emotionally unstable, mentally unstable, physically violent environment. Like just out the gate, my mother was being abused by my father when she was carrying me in the womb. So toxic levels of stress in childhood from 2 unavailable parents, because my father is out of his mind. He's abusing my mother physically and verbally. And then my mother is completely ostracized from her family. She has nobody. She becomes a single parent after my father passes away when I'm 5.5, almost 6 years old. So I grew up with 2 emotionally unavailable parents. Trigger warning. Every now and again, when we start to tell our stories, it wakes up and it starts to take a life of its own. So parts of our lived experiences, part practical, part academic, can quickly morph into a very triggering conversation. So the conversations that I have about the code of silence aren't to trigger you, but to educate you. So use this opportunity to take a deep breath. Let it all out. So a lot of us grew up with one of our parents being emotionally unavailable or unresponsive to our needs. They have taught us how to dodge our own emotions because they raised us from a place of their own disconnection, where a pat on the head replace those things that we needed to hear, wanted to hear, or maybe they have been misaligned with our own needs, where the balance between attention and investment is tilted towards all or nothing, leaving us feeling emotionally suffocated or invisible in our own household, right? So when there's a misalignment between parents and children, it usually impacts our long-term emotional development. Nobody's perfect, so life will inevitably stonewall us. We will meet life on terms outside of how we was raised, right? So that's just life. But there are what they call emotional mismatches in life, and they happen every now and again. That can actually foster healthy emotional development by teaching us how to connect with ourselves during the times that our parents are emotionally disconnected. So that's the journey. That is a journey when you recognize I am outside of my body. I am living outside of my body. I am disconnected, from myself because my parents were disconnected from themselves. Having one emotionally disconnected parent is tough, but if both parents and then the parent that you're left with. So I'm left with my mother. She's disconnected. She's a female. So when we are in a household and 2 women are disconnected from themselves, we tend to turn to our same-sex parent as a model to teach us how to navigate the world. Well, when you only have one physically available parent, but both of them presented, this emotionally unavailable presence in your life, it's common for us to take on the behaviors or mannerisms of the emotionally available parent. But when you don't have that, you're out in the world looking for it, right? And you find it's less common to find it out there. It's more common to find other people who are emotionally unavailable. So now we can take on the mannerisms and behaviors of an emotionally unavailable parent as a way to seek their attention. It doesn't happen as often, but it happens, because I know I have definitely taken on a people-pleasing behavior is where I learned to achieve and perform to chase my mother's approval. This is where my own insecure attachment style gets locked and loaded, perpetuating generational trauma down the road. I have, not been emotionally available for my own children. So learning to be available to myself first has already been a journey. So what about growing up, with two emotionally unavailable parents or in a single parent household that's abusive? It's a beautiful disaster. Um, so if one parent's numb and the other one is verbally, physically, or sexually abusive to the child, neither parent can be present or available for that child. One parent is out of touch with their own emotions while the other one is only concerned with their emotions, their feelings, what's going on in their world. Especially in a abusive single parent household, like where the mother is just navigating her own trauma and then spilling that over into onto the child. And if it's a single parent household with a single child, oh, that poor baby is just completely lost. Now, if you have another sibling, you can kind of lean on them. And I was able to lean on my brother to a certain extent, but we had our own toxic relationship. So, if you're like my son was the only child for a long time, he was sheltered and isolated. And so when he did get out into the world, he was swallowed up quick because he was green. He wasn't around, the things that I was around growing up. Those of us who have grew up with emotionally unavailable parents, we tend to be avoidant, disconnected, or neglectful. Now the child is hearing, you don't matter, you're invisible, your feelings are irrelevant, you're not seen or you're not heard. So then they go out in the world trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be loved, trying to be cared for, nourished, all of that, when the person who has to do that job is actually you. Let me see. There's these unspoken messages that are learned. We wind up living inside of our head where we overthink, overanalyze, and apologize. Becomes the norm for us. The word household replaces the word home. This is somewhere where, we literally become severely withdrawn, isolated from socialization. We become angry or we act out. I did a lot of angry act out. We come across as cold, defensive, or aloof. We appear to be negative and angry. And usually we aren't as cold as we appear. We just are tending to have a stronger armor to keep people out, to keep ourselves from being hurt. So we learn to avoid those who find our armor as some sort of challenge to accept because they're only coming in to play this hero or to stroke their ego. We may get misdiagnosed with conduct disorder, oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, and autism. Hear me when I say this. We become a label and a diagnosis, and more importantly, a misdiagnosis to satisfy insurance claims, thus shifting parental blame back onto us. While they struck their ego, ass deep in denial and refusal about, the journey, choosing to disappear and hide from our abuser, and our closet is seen as being autistic or that there's something wrong with us. Safety doesn't exist. These are the unspoken messages that we learn. Our closet becomes whatever that was for you. My closet was books for a long time, protecting us from what was outside of the bedroom. We can be shunned from our peers and not care because being alone, with our thoughts is better than dealing with these false social circles of people that don't even understand the world that you're living. You're living two lives, at the same time. Many don't understand what childhood trauma, including adult positions of power, such as teachers or social workers. Those people don't understand trauma. Some are in it for the paycheck, while others receive half-ass training. They may only see a shy kid, a kid who has behavioral issues, a child that's afraid of making eye contact. We adapt by learning, through fake smiles, at the same time, keeping everyone at an arm's distance. So we may begin to self-harm, dangerous dieting. I know I did the bulimic thing when I was like 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. Substance abuse for sure. Definitely have different obsessions and compulsions, different addictions and ways to deal with the emotions. Self-medicating. We may have been taught to feel nothing along the way, or feel shamed or feel pain that allows us to disassociate. Replacing connection. Addictions replace emotions. We learn to shut off pain or any other vulnerable emotion by separating ourselves from our surroundings. We learn to abandon ourselves by turning to people pleasing. Some of us have control issues. I know I have definitely dealt with control issues because my childhood was filled with so much chaos, so out of control. So, you start to overthink and you're constantly trying to prepare yourself for abandonment or rejection. I still deal with that because you spend years sucking it up and dealing with child abuse, dealing with family abuse. My memories were misplaced with shame, anger, and guilt instead of good times and great gatherings. And now I'm using this book to reclaim my power, to reclaim my voice, to give other women and men, and specifically women, who grew up in disorganized environments. Part of this healing process is walking away from the fallout of our childhood. We're probably never going to get those apologies that we deserve. So we learn that their lack of apology is based on where they are in their own growth. And that has nothing to do with us. We draw boundaries. We keep our distance from toxic people. We learn that even with the best intentions of our friends and families encouraging us to forgive our abusers isn't always sound advice. You hear me? The fact is, get over it or move on aren't always reasonable or feasible. We learn that we can't heal in the same environment or in the same situations that cause our pain. So we have to be more selective on who we let in, who we give our energy to, and it's not selfish, it's self-care. And so one of the ways I want to share with you all about self-care is, for one, realizing that this manic energy that may show up, always needing to be busy, surrounding ourselves with loud people or loud distractions, are only band-aids. They only work temporarily. They are not solutions. Once we come to this realization, we exchange loud, narcissistic, and toxic agendas for quiet people who have emotional depth, substance, weight, quiet activities that are healing. Through growth and as a result of it, we learn our value. We learn to disconnect from old narratives and played out agendas. And in the process, we connect to ourselves. So I want to do that with some quiet meditation. Well, we're going to breathe it in, you guys. And let it all go this morning. Take a deep breath in. Meditation doesn't always look the same. So don't buy into the whole, it has to be nam, nam yo renge. It's that. And it's so many other different forms of meditation to center and get with yourself. So we're going to listen to beautiful chorus. I love them. Find them on any mainstream music channel. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, let it go. Connecting to your sacred breath is a great way to meditate. So let's do it. One more round? No, two more rounds. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, let it go. Breathe in, let it out. Breathe in, Breathe in love, joy, peace, and happiness. Let go of anger, stress, worry, and fear. We're going to go one more time. Make sure that you're breathing in for a count of 4. Hold it for a count of 4. Release it for a count of 4.
Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go. Breathe in and let it out. Breathe in and let it go.
That's a 3-minute breath meditation with a 1-minute song that allows you to get with yourself, get back to self, start your day in a much more grounded space, releasing anything that carried over from yesterday, cracking the code of silence. You can purchase my book on Amazon.com. I need to order some more books. I haven't done so. You can also follow me on on Facebook, The Code of Silence, Dirty Little Family Secrets, and YouTube, The Code of Silence, Dirty Little Family Secrets. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for your love and support.